Hey everybody, this is Rykard here again, and welcome to another Pokemon X and Y analysis video. Today's video is going to be all about the Mega Evolution of Venusaur, so let's get started by taking a look at this Pokemon's typing, abilities, and stats. So to start things off, Mega Venusaur is a Grass Poison type Pokemon, much like the regular version of Venusaur, which achieves this Mega Evolution through the use of the Venusaurite item. Now when it does Mega Evolve, it does acquire the Thick Fat ability, which in my opinion is one of the best abilities for any Grass type Pokemon to have, due to the fact that Grass types are weak to both Fire and Ice type moves, and the Thick Fat ability reduces the damage of Fire and Ice type moves by 50%, essentially making Venusaur only have two weaknesses, which are to Poison and Flying type moves. And this overall is just amazing for this Pokemon, meaning that it has far less counters than the regular version of Venusaur normally does, due to it losing two weaknesses due to the Thick Fat ability. But as a side-by-side comparison between the stats of the regular Venusaur and the Mega Venusaur, we can easily see on this slide right here that upon Mega Evolving, Venusaur gains an increased physical attack, physical defense, special attack, and special defense, meaning that this Pokemon now is able to not only wall attackers even better than before due to its increased defensive stats, but also dish out even more damage from both the physical and special sides due to the increase in both of these stats as well, allowing Venusaur to be, in my opinion, one of the most well-rounded Pokemon in the game with fantastic bulk and amazing attacking stats. So for the first set that I have for you in this video, we are going to begin by giving it either a rash nature to increase its special attack but lower its special defense, or a modest nature to increase its special attack but lower its physical attack. And then for the ability on the regular Venusaur, we are going to be running Chlorophyll as a way to potentially outspeed other attackers in the sun if we are up against an opponent using a sun team, or if we are using one ourselves. But do keep in mind that this ability is going to change upon Mega Evolving into Thick Fat, but I figured I would give you the ability I would recommend for the regular version of Venusaur, since that's what it will be when it first enters the battle before you do Mega Evolve. But as for the EVs, we are going to be running 168 EVs into our HP to give us some pretty good extra bulk, and then we're going to be running max special attack with 252 EVs into that, and then running 88 speed EVs to allow Venusaur to have enough speed to outspeed Pokemon of base 90 speed or lower that don't have any speed investment. And as for the item, we are obviously going to be running with the Venusaurite item to allow Venusaur to Mega Evolve into Mega Venusaur. But as for the moves, the first one that we're going to be going with on this set is going to be our main Grass type attack, which is going to be coming in the form of either Giga Drain or Energy Ball. Now this choice is a lot more significant this generation than it has been previously, because Energy Ball is now 90 base power as opposed to the 80 base power it used to be, but Giga Drain is still 75 base power. So it's really whichever one you want, whether you want the added recovery that Giga Drain provides, which can be very useful since we can't use leftovers on any Mega Pokemon, or if you want the added power of Energy Ball to allow you to have some more damage output from your Grass type stab. But to go along with this, we are going to be running Hidden Power Fire to give you some really fantastic dual coverage overall between these two moves, which allows you to pretty much hit the majority of Pokemon you are going to be up against for either neutral or super effective damage. And since Venusaur is typically used in OU right now, Hidden Power Fire is just amazing in general due to the abundance of steel types that you're going to run into, as well as the abundant Pokemon that are 4 times weak to Fire type moves, which come in the form of, Ferrothorn, Scizor, Forretress, all those types of Pokemon that you're seeing all the time. Hidden Power Fire is going to be doing some really good damage to all of them. And then for another coverage move on this set, we are either going to be running Earthquake or Sludge Bomb. Now both of these give you significantly different options of coverage, and Earthquake in my opinion is a better option if you want Venusaur to have less counters that switch into it, because if you do have Earthquake on Venusaur, the number one Pokemon in my opinion that does wall Venusaur that you most commonly see is a Pokemon such as Heatran, which you will be able to hit super effectively, or 4 times super effectively for that matter, with this Earthquake. And because Venusaur does have an increased physical attack upon Mega Evolving, this will be doing even more damage than it normally would. But if you do want a really great stab option, Sludge Bomb is definitely the way to go, as this does allow you to deal with Dragon types a lot more effectively, since Dragon types are obviously resisting both the grass and fire move, and then taking neutral damage from earthquake, which really isn't your invested attack stat on this set. So Sludge Bomb will allow you to do more damage to those types of Pokemon, as well as give you an extremely solid way to deal with the many fairy types you might run into. And Sludge Bomb on a a Sludge Bomb against a max HP, max special defense Togekiss is a guaranteed 2-hit KO regardless, so that is something to keep in mind, since Togekiss, in my opinion, is one of the most commonly seen fairy types. And then for the last move on this set, we are going to be running Synthesis to allow Venusaur to recover a bunch of HP and keep its health up throughout battle to allow it to continue to be a threatening special attacker, because with its really great defenses naturally, since they do get a boost when you Mega Evolve, you will probably still be able to take attacks fairly well, and Synthesis will guarantee that you'll be able to recover a ton of health and last a lot longer in battle. Up next, I have my preferred defensive set to run on Mega Venusaur. So we're going to start this one off by giving it a Bold Nature to increase its physical defense and lower its physical attack. And then for the regular Venusaur, before we Mega Evolve, we're going to be wanting the Chlorophyll ability to potentially take advantage of Sun, but obviously this is going to change as soon as you Mega Evolve into Thick Fat. But as for the EVs, this time we're going to be maxing its HP with 252 EVs into that, and then putting 68 EVs into its defense, 100 into its special defense, and then 88 EVs into its speed to give it some really fantastic mix bulk all around, and also allow this Pokemon to be significantly faster, outspeeding Pokemon of base 90 speed that have no speed investment. Now I know there are a lot of people that don't really see a point in putting speed EVs on a defensive Pokemon like this. This is something that I personally prefer to do, but if you don't really want to put the speed on your Venusaur, you can just take out those 88 speed EVs and distribute them in the defenses depending on how you see fit. But as for the item, again, we're going to be running Venusaurite because this will allow Venusaur to Mega Evolve into its final and more powerful form. But as for the moves, the first one we're going to be going with on this set is going to be Sleep Powder, which is a fantastic move for any wall Pokemon to have, as it will allow you to put any Pokemon on your opponent's side of the field to sleep and allow them to potentially be crippled for a very long time until they are able to wake up. Now, Sleep Powder was significantly nerfed this gen in the fact that now Pokemon with the Overcoat ability are immune to it, as well as all grass types cannot be put to sleep by Sleep Powder, but it is still a really solid move to run on Venusaur to allow it to potentially cripple any Pokemon on your opponent's side of the field. But to go along with that, we are going to be running one stab move on this set in the form of either Giga Drain or Sludge Bomb, and both obviously have their advantages and disadvantages. Giga Drain providing you with some much needed recovery on the set, since we obviously cannot use leftovers, but Sludge Bomb also giving you that utility of having a 30% chance to poison your opponent. But to go along with this, we are going to be going with either Knockoff or Hidden Power Fire, and in my opinion, Knockoff is one of the best moves in the game right now because of the significant increase in power it received this generation, and also the fact that you can just completely get rid of your opponent's item if they obviously are not a Mega Pokemon or an Arceus or have the Sticky Hold ability. So this is a really great move to use on Venusaur to allow it to cripple more attackers, along with potentially putting some other ones to sleep through the use of Sleep Powder. But a really great coverage move to be used on Venusaur is also Hidden Power Fire, which is personally recommended to allow you to deal significant damage to the plethora of steel types in the OU tier. And then for the last move on the set, we are going to be running either Synthesis or Leech Seed for recovery. Synthesis is obviously more immediate and will allow you to recover 50% of your health very easily, but Leech Seed can be very useful for allowing you to recover health, along with also slowly draining away your opponent's health in the process. So really, it's whichever one you think you should go with. Synthesis is more immediate, but Leech Seed also damages your opponent in the process, so both are really great options for recovery on Venusaur. And lastly, I have a Subseeding set for Mega Venusaur to run, which I find to be very effective. So we're going to start this one off by giving it a Bold Nature to increase its physical defense and lower its physical attack. And for the ability, again on the regular Venusaur, we're going to be wanting to go with Chlorophyll, which is obviously going to change into Thick Fat upon Mega Evolving. But for the EVs, we are actually going to be running the same EV spread as last time, with 252 HP EVs, 68 defense EVs, 100 special defense EVs, and 88 speed EVs, along with the Venusaurite item. And as I mentioned previously, this EV spread gives you some really fantastic mixed bulk all around, as well as making you significantly faster, which is even more so useful on this set than the previous one because of the fact that we are making use of Substitute on the set, which will allow us to get behind a protective barrier to shield us from attacks and statuses. And if you are able to Substitute before your opponent is even able to attack, you are at a significant advantage. Now, to go along with Substitute, we are obviously going to be making use of Leech Seed on the set, since this is a Subseeding set, which will allow us to slowly drain away our opponent's HP while also recovering our own in the process, allowing us to potentially potentially make yet another substitute, as we do need 25% of our health to allow us to make those substitutes. But obviously the HP we are getting back from our opponents is going to significantly help us out in that department. But to go along with our subseeding, we're going to be running 2 attacking moves on the set, the first of which is either going to be in the form of Giga Drain or Sludge Bomb as your main stab attack on the set. Obviously both of these have their own advantages, Giga Drain providing you with some added recovery, whereas Sludge Bomb having a 30% chance to poison your opponent. But for the last move slot on the set, we are either going to be running Sludge Bomb, which will give you your dual stab in the form of Giga Drain and Sludge Bomb, or either Hidden Power Fire or Nature Power. Now, Hidden Power Fire is particularly useful on any subseeding set because the only Pokemon, barring Pokemon with Magic Guard or Magic Bounce, that are immune to Leech Seed are grass types, and Hidden Power Fire happens to hit them super effectively, making it so that this set has significantly less counters to it, since the only Pokemon that would be immune to Leech Seed are now at risk of taking super effective damage from your Hidden Power Fire. But Nature Power also works significantly well on this set because of the fact that it is now Tri-Attack in Wi-Fi battles, meaning that you have a 20% chance to either burn, paralyze, or freeze your opponent, which could come in handy against any attacker on your opponent's side of the field, because you could significantly cripple them if you do get the secondary effect of Tri-Attack, aka Nature Power, on this set, which is really good and also could potentially allow you to subseed even more effectively if you happen to burn a physical attacker or freeze anything or even paralyze a speedy Pokemon that would want to come in and deal damage to Venusaur before it would be able to attack. So this move definitely has some really great utility on this set, but obviously Sludge Bomb and Hidden Power Fire also have their merits. But anyways, everybody, that is it for this video, so I wanted to thank you all for watching. Feel free to follow me on Twitch and on Twitter, and also bookmark the database in the description, which will have all of these Pokemon sets for Mega Venusaur, as well as all the other movesets for the Pokemon that I've done already in the analysis series. The Mega Pokemon will be listed underneath Rykard on the list, so you'll have to scroll all the way down to find them, but they're right there, and I will slowly be updating this as I do make more Mega Pokemon sets. And also, feel free to join the Zat at zat.com/pokegrounds. Also, I have been using a new microphone in this video. I'm not sure if any of you are aware of this or noticed this, so let me know how this sounds because I'm trying it out and I'm curious as to what you think. But anyways, everybody, that is it for this video, so as always, take care, goodbye, and I will see you all next time.